Welcome to the Social Bee podcast with your host, Louise Brogan. Every week, Louise will be bringing you a podcast all about women entrepreneurs, talking about their challenges, their goals, and inspiring you to either start your own business or grow the business you have. Visit www.socialbeeni.com to join our community and pick up some lovely freebies to start marketing your business online today.
Hello and welcome to today's episode of the Social Bee podcast. Today I will be talking to Claire Grace, who is the head of the assistant quarters. And Claire has a really interesting business model and a good business journey to share with you all. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Claire to the podcast. Claire, welcome.
Hiya.
Claire, would you tell everybody what it is that you do and who you help, please?
Sure. So I launched my business thinking I would be a virtual assistant, and over the kind of last two and a half years, that has changed somewhat, and I now support clients as their online business manager. So as well as helping with some of the admin, social media strategy, all of those kind of things that all business owners are juggling. I will help them with, I guess, their overall business strategy as well. So that might mean helping them to organise other team members and other freelancers that they support, and helping them to build that business strategy over time. So whether that's just helping them to stick to their goals, I guess. Cool, that sounds awful. I waffled completely. Ask me that again and I'll tell you a proper answer.
Some of my listeners
won't
necessarily
know what a virtual assistant
is. So can you start with that first? What is a virtual assistant?
Okay, so a virtual assistant is a freelance or remote support that will help business owners with anything from admin to social media to marketing, content creation, and everything in between. So they can help with traditional kind of personal assistant support, so diary, email management, but often they will specialise in one or two key services, and they will often be the first hire first regular ongoing hire that a business owner will make to support them as they start to grow.
I mean, I know in my own business, I have worked with various virtual assistants probably over the last couple of years. And when I first started out, I didn't really know what a VA was. And then I learned what a VA was. And it is excellent to be able to just say, you know what, I've got a piece of work here and I could sit and do it myself, but it might take me a week. Whereas if I outsource it to somebody else, they will probably turn it around in 2 hours.
Yeah.
And, you know, a lot of the time, Claire, I would say at networking events here in Northern Ireland, you know, sometimes I'll say, show of hands around the room, who knows what a VA is? And, you know, maybe only a handful of people put their hands up. But if you are working one-to-one with clients and you're able to charge a certain hourly rate for that, and outsourcing a piece of work to a virtual assistant that clears your diary to go and do more one-to-ones and costs you less than the hourly rate that you're charging your clients, it's a no-brainer, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I've got a little calculator that I sometimes give to clients or people that are considering hiring a VA, and it will do exactly that. You can plug in your hourly rate, the potential VA or person that you want to outsource to, and it will show that if you kind of swap that piece of work to another person, how much more income you can potentially generate. So I think certainly when you're thinking about hiring a virtual assistant, you need to think of it as an investment, because it will allow you to achieve more things. So it's not, yes, it obviously costs you money, but and that is often a blocker for why people don't hire a virtual assistant sooner. But I do think, as well as the freeing up a time for you to do more client work or to take on more pay gigs, whatever that might look like for you in your business. It's also freeing you up that headspace as well. And I think a really good VA often will be that sounding board that you need. So, there's so many benefits to having virtual assistant or virtual team members beyond, getting stuff off of your to-do list and onto somebody else's.
Absolutely. We'll get a link to your little calculator tool. I think that sounds really good, Claire. So we'll get a link for that in the show notes.
Sure.
For people to have a look at that and see. But going back to when you started this business, Claire, what did you do before this business?
So I worked for a bank for 15 years. It was my first permanent, proper job out of university. I thought I was going to be a school teacher. I had a summer job. They offered me a permanent position, and then I never left.
Oh, wow!
So, it was not my original intention to work for a bank, but 15 years later, there we were. And I worked for a number of different departments and in a number of different roles. So I had branch experience. I worked in call centre team. I also then moved into project management and worked in different parts of the business, so things like business banking as well as universities, which it's really helped me now because it's given me a real breadth of knowledge and different skills. And my kind of final position was working as the executive assistant to the head of business banking at that time. And then when he left the business, there was some restructuring going on, which happens very regularly in banking and in corporate, I'm sure. And I got made redundant. And I have a daughter who is literally just turned 6. And at that point, she was just about to start school, or it's coming up to school, starting school. And I was at that quandary working in London full time, doing quite long hours, juggling the whole nursery run and trying to please everybody and get to work on time and then have to rush home if she was sick or all of that kind of juggle that you have to do when you become a parent. And I couldn't see how that could work for me when she started school. And obviously the school day shrinks a lot. Nursery actually in hindsight was a doddle because they could have her as early as 7 o'clock and they would have her as late as 6 o'clock if I really needed to. And I didn't want that to be the case. Yeah. So when she started school, I'd already been thinking about starting a virtual assistant business, and it just was a case of timing, really, that the redundancy came along at the right time, and because of my length of service, gave me the buffer to launch my own business and take my time with it, and not feel like I had to rush things. Excellent.
That's really so many people that will resonate with so many people. But when you got made redundant, then you had the safety net to allow you to start the business.
Yes, yeah. And that really helped. So, I invested in some training. I'd never run a business before. Having worked in a business banking team, I had a good understanding of what it was like to run a business. My boss, in fact, had run businesses, and we'd had conversations about me setting up my own business at some point. And he was so totally supportive.
Wow.
So it was great. And he gave me tons of advice, and I'm still in touch with him. I'm actually meeting him tomorrow for a drink.
That's so amazing to have a supportive boss like that.
I know, he was so good, and I think he always knew that was something I wanted to do. Once I'd had my daughter. But having that buffer was really helpful because I didn't rush to take on clients or compromise my rate. I knew from the very beginning what kind of services I wanted to offer and what I would need to charge to make it a viable business.
Good.
And I didn't compromise on that from the beginning. I didn't have a website straight away or things like that. But as soon as I put out, it's funny, I'm sure lots of people are the same. As soon as you put out on LinkedIn or on your social media that you're changing direction and that you're launching a business, there will always be somebody who needs your services or knows somebody who needs your services. So the first few clients were people that I knew, and then it kind of just went from there.
Brilliant. So, but what you've done with your business, Claire, is, you know, because I do know some virtual assistants. Some of my friends are virtual assistants here in Belfast.
Yeah.
But what you've done is slightly different in that you have built up a virtual assistant team, haven't you?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So what was the decision? Was that when you started, was that the decision that you would build a collective around you?
Absolutely. Because and this is partly for selfish reasons, is because I had gone from an office where had, 200 people around me, and I would chat to people all the time.
Yeah.
And to go to a business of just one on my own, at the beginning was a real culture shock, and it is still something that I struggle with, you know, being sat, albeit I've got a very nice spare room that has been converted into my office. I don't work off my dining table anymore, but I still don't see people as often as I used to, or as I would like. So and you know, emergencies happen. The same reason why business owners hire a virtual assistant is the same reason why I wanted a team, because if something happens, I wanted to feel that my clients were reassured and that I knew that I had people that could support me in times of need. And equally, you can't be a virtual assistant. That I defy anyone to say that they could work with anybody and on anything. You can't be a specialist in everything. So
no, you can't.
What I've tried to do is find team members that have either different personalities, different skill sets, you know, complementary skills, that mean together we can really support a business owner. So whilst I might be the main point of contact for some of my clients, I have other team members who can help with things like Facebook ads, things like copywriting, bookkeeping even. And I can't be a specialist in all of those things because it's just impossible. My brain will explode. So I think that's where having the team really helps, because you can offer that service to a client and say, look, I can help you with all of those things, but it might just not be me.
How does that work in terms of your business, Claire? Are those people independent VAs, or so if I came along as a client and said to you, okay, Claire, I need some help with my business, I need a copywriter, I need someone to run my Facebook ads, am I hiring your assistant quarters business, or what way does it work? And then you pay the VAs?
Yes, yeah. They're not employees in that I'm not paying them on they're not on the payroll, I guess. I guess it's a bit like subcontracting. So they're contracted with me, but they are part of the team. So if they have assistant quarters emails, and I will manage that team accordingly. So I use a tool called Asana and Slack mostly to communicate with the team. And I will say, Joe Blogs needs help with X, Y, and Z. And I'll go out to the team and say, I think this would suit you. Or it might be that there's multiple people that could pick up that piece of work.
Yes.
But I'll ask who's got availability, and then I oversee it. So they're associate team members, I guess.
Brilliant. No, I love that. That's interesting. Actually, one of my friends here talks to me about building an associate team. So it's kind of a similar vein. Oh no, maybe a bit different. And how many people have you got working in your team?
So I've got, I've just this week started working with a bookkeeper. So I think there's about 7 or 8, and some of those have regular clients and some of those might just help for short-term projects.
Yes.
So the beauty is that support can flex as and when I need them. And some of them do have their own direct work. For new, this is, good advice for a new virtual assistant. If they are starting out and they haven't yet got their own direct clients, often a good way to get experience is to work with other VAs as an associate. So you don't have as much of the spend. You're not trying to prospect or find clients. There's some of the admin that you don't have to do, but you will learn from other experienced VAs, and you can get experience that way. So yeah, I know of some agencies where actually